everyone, it's the RetroNatics back again. And, well, we survived that Yautja attack, man. What do you think?
Well, fortunately, we got a very incompetent alien, which was the same alien from the 2018 Predator movie. So we're fine, we're back, and we're here to talk about The Thing.
Yeah. All kidding aside, really, our battery just went dead on the last video. This time, however, we fully charged it up. We made sure this battery is 100%. So tonight, yes, as Javier said, we are going to be discussing The Thing. And let me reference my notes here because I can't remember nothing anymore. So The Thing, released out in 1982, directed by John Carpenter. And not really a huge stellar cast, I guess you could say. There are a few folks that did turn out to be really famous. One of them is this guy named, I don't know, Kurt Russell.
This was John Carpenter's first big budget movie. And by this time, I'm trying to remember, like you are, whether or not Escape from New York came before this. And I think it did.
Good point. Yeah. What's his
R.J. McCready?
R.J. McCready, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a pretty cool name. There's another guy, Wilford Brimley, the oatmeal guy or something like that?
Yeah, he was the Quaker Oats diabetes guy.
Diabetes guy, yeah.
Rest in peace, sir. Yeah.
Good old Keith David, man. You know, still going strong even to this day. I like Keith David in that he does voice acting in some of the Rick and Morty episodes.
What the hell are you doing, Nathan? I'm the goddamn president of the United fucking States. Wait. Why?
I love Rick and Morty, as you can tell. Another guy, which I told you, Richard Mazer, he plays Clark. We were talking about that he's in this little known film series called Mr. Booty, which Disney released back also in the mid or late 80s. Moving on, The Thing, so it's based on a 1938 short story written by John W. Campbell Jr., and the name of that short story was called Who Goes There? However, the first film adaptation of this was in 1951 with a movie called The Thing from Another World. I've not read the short story, and I have not seen the 1951 film. What about you, man?
I have. I did see it, and it was a once through just to make sure that I've seen the original movie. And it's very different. It's very much, I don't think they really focus much on the mistrust of others. More or less, they're just trying to survive this monster attack that comes in and destroys things and kills people. But of course, it's totally different. During that time, they didn't have the special effects or the technology to bring something like the 1982 Thing. So it's basically just a man in a monster suit. And they say he looks like a carrot. To me, he just looks like another Frankenstein type, alien and stuff. So it's a very basic movie, but, apparently very memorable to some people to want to do a remake, But, just watch it if you're just curious one day. But it's not scary or anything. It's kind of like just one of those B movies from the 50s. Yeah.
Well, Carpenter's The Thing is an incredible movie. And for its time, when I saw it as a young kid, it scared me. It was really terrifying. As I grew up, though, I did learn to appreciate it a lot. The special effects, of course, you can watch it now and you're like, that's pretty fake, even though the gore is really over the top. But for its time, man, that was really incredible what they did with it in terms of the makeup and the effects.
Yeah, Rob Bottin, who was a young guy at the time, 20-something-year-old.
I believe he was 22, I think.
22, yeah, but he made some very great gore effects back then, and even creature effects. Later on, doing some stuff for RoboCop, and a lot of the designs from that film, but he really got a lot of his start from working with John Carpenter. You could say that they're very basic looking special effects now, and nothing compares to CG now, but to me, CG still looks fake to me. You can tell when you see it, when you look at it.
So the storyline of it is really impressive. You can kind of see it from so many different point of views. I mean, how things spiral down into distrust for each other between the characters. It's really good. This might be looking a little too deep into it, but while we were watching it last night when we reviewed it, it kind of made me think sort of like the Red Scare of the 1950s, in which there started to be a great fear of communists infiltrating the American government. It's a great movie. It really builds tension. It gives you that sense of dread and fear. These guys are isolated. They're cut off from the rest of the world. A few points of dialogue that kind of made us curious. One of the things was they kind of made it sound as if maybe them and the Norwegian camp really were not quite the only ones around. they made it sound like maybe there were other camps of other nations perhaps still out there. Antarctica is a big place, so there was plenty of room there.
There's a lot of layers to this film. You know, a lot of people just dissecting when did the thing start infecting people. Me, I mean, even thinking about all that stuff, but thinking back to what were they there for in the beginning as scientists? What were they researching?
Really impressed by the fact that they had, for some reason, in their inventory so many weapons.
Yeah.
They had some pistols, they had some rifles, they had shotguns, flamethrowers. I was like, wow, you know, why did they need all this at a supposed research station? It was kind of weird.
And you think about it too, like, were there dangers to where they needed that? Was it the Red Scare during the time or something like that? Or, you know, did they just need to protect themselves? Versus the folks on the Alien movie, you know, that had nothing in their spaceship and stuff. Yeah, but they were ready, and they had something to at least, you know, defend themselves, including gallons and gallons of oil.
Oh, yeah, all that barrels of fuel that were just all over the place that they could randomly push over in order to burn one of the thing creatures. Like,
and dynamite as well.
And that's right, the dynamite. They had so many explosives. It was pretty wild. They were able to detonate their whole camp. Something I found out that I did not know... They destroyed their own camp, but I did not know John Carpenter used the remnants of the American camp in order to shoot the scene where MacReady and the doctor fly over to the Norwegian camp. When you see that scene of the destroyed Norwegian camp, that's just the remnants of the destroyed American camp. John Carpenter wanted to save money by just having only one camp, destroy it, and then shoot it again, rather than making two camps and destroying both of them. Your opinions or feelings on the movie, man?
It's a definite classic, and I know that you explained when you first saw it. Me, you know, like it had to have been the 80s, mid-80s, just visiting family. Somebody had cable. We didn't have cable at the time, so we're just enjoying, you know, a little get-together, and, you know, I walked into someone's living room, and I looked in the corner of my eye and I saw this head with spider legs sticking out of it, and I was like a little kid thinking, "What the heck is this?" You know, and it's screaming, and I'm seeing this gory thing or whatever beforehand, and I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "This is scary." Yeah, of course, it looks scary looking at that and stuff, yeah, but later on, probably watching it, you know, on cable somewhere, and then you know, I grew older, wanting to watch more horror movies like the Night of the Living Dead, you know, trilogy at the time, and wanting to revisit a lot of Carpenter films, and of course this is way up there.
You introduced me to some of the, I guess, conspiracy theories in regards to the thing that came about. One of them, of course, that we heard of is that MacReady is the thing probably all along. Yes, he is exonerated through the blood test that they do. However, there is a theory put forth that these cells, in order to preserve themselves, they, like, I guess, kind of like move out of the way of the little hot wire that he puts in there or something, so that there's no reaction, that he's not harmed. I don't know. That might be a little too much, I think, for me to buy. I don't know. Do you think MacReady was the thing, or do you think he was human all along?
Honestly, it's very valid to watch another YouTuber dissect, you know, and come up with valid points of when he was possibly infected. But yeah, like that, the blood test is kind of like, okay, he's still safe. And we still have questions about that scene itself anyway, because it didn't look like a very sanitary way to kind of cut open like the fingers. When you see one of the guys basically take the scalpel or whatever and just wipe it over his, you know, clothing. And then here's the next guy. So you see a scene with Palmer, which we find out is a legitimate thing.
Right.
His blood was already there, and like everyone is still cutting their stuff, you know. Yep. So how do we know if like that wasn't some sort of infection causing like you know, situation? But as far as MacReady being the thing, I mean, there's a YouTuber out there that kind of explained it, how it was basically passing the liquor bottle around and stuff, and that could be a situation, because we do see him drink Blair's bottle of, like, you know, vodka or whatever it was in his shed, and put it down, and, you know, and an explanation as to the order of when Blair was infected or not, you know. So yeah, that's the beauty of this script, the beauty of this movie, is that it makes you question everything, just like they did, you know.
Yeah, something else that I was also really curious about is how Blair was able to build that almost completed a little spaceship and everything. How did he even dig the tunnels and everything all underground? That kind of was really a little too much for me. I was like, wait a minute, you know.
And if you try to kind of like reason that out, it's like, yeah, was he strong enough? Or did he form himself into some creature that, I don't know, like that dug through the tunnels and stuff? Apparently, like, I guess whenever you absorb someone or assimilate someone, you have their knowledge. So maybe he's got a few engineers in his, brain or cells or whatever to where he can build something from helicopter parts and stuff. Yeah. Another explanation of that is, whether or not, I remember reading somewhere, they said, why is he building this thing? Oh, it's probably to get out of here. And we don't know if that means to get off of that area into somewhere else or to get in space, and another thing is, wouldn't the thing get destroyed if it, passed the atmosphere, but maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it could withstand that. Maybe it's not like the human body where it can withstand certain conditions and stuff while flying,
So many questions. The movie just really leaves things up to your imagination, especially at the very end. Is McCready infected? Is he human? Is Childs infected, or is he human? There's theories on that. You told me about McCready possibly putting gasoline or whatnot into his bottle of J&B, and when he gives it to Childs, Childs does drink it, and McCready kind of chuckles, and you said that was his chuckle was kind of in response that Childs is not giving a response to drinking gasoline, and therefore is kind of proving that Childs is the thing. But there's no proof of that either, because like we discussed last night, McCready would have already had to been thinking a couple of steps ahead, so he would have been thinking like, well, someone else may still be alive, which really he had no reason to think of. And let me fill this bottle of J&B, replace it with gasoline instead, so that way in case someone shows up, I'll give it to them and they can drink it. Well, you have to really be thinking ahead of all that. And
why would you have gasoline around with you and stuff,
exactly.
Unless you were going to burn yourself if you thought that you were the thing and wanted to destroy everything.
Right.
But a lot of stuff, because we've watched this movie so many times, separately, and I think maybe this is the first time together. I don't know. We probably saw it when we were kids together. But, when you're watching the movie the first time around, you're thinking people are going nuts. People are going crazy. Why is Blair destroying everything and, killing everything and stuff? And now you're looking at it like, well, he was just trying to do his best to, prevent the spread of this thing into the world, after... And, not everyone was in the loop at that time, so they were just thinking he's nuts, and we got to keep control of him and isolate him and stuff.
Yeah, Blair was... In the beginning, he was actually looking to be on the high road. I thought he was kind of doing the right thing. Did it suck that, he might be sacrificing everyone? Yeah, it sucks, but he was also kind of thinking of the bigger picture, basically the fate of the world versus just, basically a couple of guys in Antarctica. So he was a little bit of the wiser one. As for the other characters, I hate to say some of the characters are a little not quite too memorable, but the cast still really does pull it all together. Fuchs, for example, that was a character I was a little interested in, and we never really quite know his fate. Did he kill himself, or was he killed? It just leaves you with more questions than answers.
And you try to think like the character, maybe he had a lot of paranoia, or maybe he was just scared at the time and stuff. Like people are just kind of losing their minds and trying to be rational in this situation. And we're looking at it, under a microscope of having seen it a few times. Like, oh, why did he do this? He should have, stuck around or something like that. But who knows when you're panicking, whatever you do during that time. And, whether he did know that he was infected or not, because there's so many scenes that I think there was like somebody passing him up in the dark or something.
Yes.
So who knows if he got infected and he just wanted to, stop the spread or whatever. Yeah.
So in conclusion, The Thing from 1982, excellent movie. If you have not seen it, you definitely owe it to yourself to view this classic. We enjoy it every single time we watch it. Kind of pick up something new as well on every viewing. It's great. Again, it really makes your imagination work over time if you start thinking about all the little details that are in this movie. Who touched what, who did the dog lick, who was the dog around with, maybe Solo, who was this person in contact with, so many things. It's a time when you really got to pay attention to detail, and it's just amazing the way they craft it.
And another thing, like, I know that I'm kind of guilty these days of not really looking at special features anymore, you know, like, but we just decided to look at the special features on this version of the Blu-ray, and they have an interview with the novelist of
Alan
the
Dean
thing.
Foster.
Yep, and you caught it, like, when they were panning over the page of the book. We don't see, is it Knowles, the name of the guy?
Knowles or something. Yeah, I can't remember the exact name, but yeah.
But, like, we don't see what happens to him when him and MacReady are planting the dynamite to detonate the place. And MacReady turns his head and, like, he doesn't hear anything. Like, how are you doing back there? And, you know, we just figured, okay, the thing took him and killed him or whatever. But in the novelization, it provides more information, you know, as to basically everything, you know, that happens in the movie, including Knowles' death.
Tell us down in the comments below your thoughts on the movie, what you think the ending should be, who you think, you know, is human, who is not. If you haven't seen the 2011, it's not a remake of it. It is a prequel movie, but it kind of does the same thing in a way, just in a different way. For example, in the original The Thing, they do a blood test to try and find out who's human, who is not. In the 2011 movie, they essentially just check each other's teeth for fillings because they find that the Thing cannot imitate non-organic items such as fillings and teeth and stuff like that. So that's just one of the things that they do in order to kind of like make it similar but not quite the same. But I might actually have to go back and watch 2011's The Thing and see what they do in that movie, because I remember when I first saw it, I didn't really think it was too great. The CGI honestly was too much and just not very good, I thought.
Regarding that movie, I think I'd mentioned that I didn't hate it. I just thought that it could have been better as well, but you know, if you're in the mood for watching The Thing and you know, John Carpenter's The Thing, and maybe just a little bit before that, it's not a bad watch. You know, you just need to give it, you know, watch it every few years or something like that. But yeah, could have been better, but it's not terrible either. I've seen terrible movies, so yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's our thoughts on The Thing, and thank you very much for checking us out. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right, take it easy.